Because we're talking about your book, Restoring Hope. The very title of your book and its opening emphasis on better outcomes for people points to your conviction that we need to get it right for Australians in the future. You've learnt a lot over the last 12 years or so, looking at government very closely. What's happened to the policy formulation process that has led to this inability to fix these problems?
Well, that in a sense is the worrying thing, and that's also part of the genesis for writing this book. My sense is that the public policy debate has become a lot worse in Australia, and that's at the political level, but also at the national level in terms of the op-ed pages of the main newspapers and so forth, in the discussions that occur on television and so forth. There are a range of factors. I mean, I think at the governmental level, there's actually been a hollowing out of the public service. I believe the quality and depth of the advice and the innovativeness of the advice that's coming up to governments, my judgment would be it's not nearly as good as it used to be. But on top of that, as I say, I think the whole debate about public policy has become much less worthwhile, much less, is not helping us to form good solutions to the problems we face. And there are a range of features of that debate that I think have come to irritate me. One is the general vacuity. It's become much more common for people just to call for reform. Maybe this is one of the troubles of having a period where we've had good reform outcomes. People just think they just need to call for reform. Let's have microeconomic reform or whatever, industrial relations reform. And then you just
as long as somebody else does it.
That's right. You make the call and then you walk away, and that doesn't advance the debate at all. So you have that problem. You have a lack of coherence in people's policy thinking, or thinking about policy issues also. So there's a tendency often these days, I think, to focus on one issue and then think, oh, we must do this, and not reflect that at the same time other people are saying, here's another issue over here, we must do this. But your policy proposal over here might be going to make things much worse over here. And I mean, to give a couple of examples, say, both parties profess to be very concerned about housing affordability in Australia. And it's fair, it's a fair point that housing prices have gone up enormously since mid-2012, even with the correction we've seen since mid-2017, more than 50% higher in Sydney. And yet a large part of what's driven that has been a massive increase in demand, heavily driven by increased immigration. And yet both parties, at the same time as saying we're terribly concerned about housing affordability, say we need to keep an extraordinarily fast, by international standards, extraordinarily fast immigration program. Another good example is what goes on with energy prices. At the same time as parties talk about manufacturing jobs and how we need to support and restore Australian manufacturing industry and make sure we support those manufacturing jobs, both parties remain committed to renewable energies policies that are driving up electricity prices that are causing lots of Australian manufacturers to relocate their production facilities overseas.